Welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Welcome to this edition of Turn the Page podcast, Syosset Public Library's podcast. And I am Stacy. We're recording this during the COVID pandemic, and I don't even know what day it is sometimes. This is Stacy Benchi. I'm a Reader Services Librarian at Syosset Public Library, and I'm joined by...
This is Evelyn, also Reader Services Librarian, and I'm home. I'll be in at 1.
And Jessica, Community Engagement Specialist and also Librarian at Syosset Public Library.
I like how you sound confused. And our special guest today is...
Kristan Higgins.
Yay, welcome back, Kristan.
Thank you. It's nice to see you guys.
Well, very nice. Well, thank you so much for being a repeat guest now.
Yes.
This is your second run on Turn the Page. Welcome back.
I feel very famous.
So the last book we interviewed you for was
Life and Other Inconveniences.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about this one.
Okay, well, picture this. You are sitting in the hospital waiting room. Your husband has had a massive stroke. He's in surgery. You're holding all his stuff. You're in shock. His phone lights up with a text. And guess what? It's from his mistress. He's been having an affair. Surprise! So always the last to know is the story of the 3 Frost women. Barb, who is married to John, married for a long time, who has just discovered that her husband, who may be dying, is also having an affair. Juliet, her older daughter, who's 42 years old, is in the midst of a midlife crisis where she has always been a successful architect. She hires this younger female architect who is sort of all of a sudden getting all this press and buzz and interviews and Vanity Fair and the New York Times. And Juliet is thinking, wait a minute, what about, me? I thought I'd been doing everything right. And all of a sudden she's sort of bumped from her throne. She's also raising 2 girls, trying to have a perfect marriage, runs 6 miles on her elliptical every day. And it's just getting to be too much. So she's having panic attacks in her closet and thinking about moving to Montana to work for the Park Service, like we all do at some point in our lives.
Accurate.
Right? And then there's Sadie, the younger sister, who's very different from her older sister. She sort of floats through life like a butterfly, landing here, landing there. Good things always seem to fall into her lap, like a job. She's a teacher at an elementary school where she teaches art. She always wanted to be this famous Soho, New York artist, but instead she is working for an interior designer where she makes paintings to match like the couch or the wallpaper or the shower curtain, And she's her dad's darling girl. And so she rushes back to Connecticut to help take care of him and appoints herself as his main caregiver. And also has to deal with the fact that there in that hometown is the man she loved and left, Noah, who has just become a new daddy and is not exactly thrilled that she's back. She wouldn't come back for him, but here she is back anyway. And so she's got to deal with the feels on that.
Well, I finished it yesterday. Which character is most like you, Kristan?
Oh, it was funny because my husband and daughter read it and they were like, either you're Barb or you're Juliet. You're not Sadie. Because Sadie is very lighthearted and a little irresponsible in the fact that she does sort of float through life, and that's, she's going after her dream and it's kind of sort of working out, but not really, and that's okay for now. Whereas I am more of like the pragmatic list maker. And one of the things that I loved about Barb and Juliet was that, they they rise to the occasion. They do what needs to be done. Especially Barb, she's the first selectman of the town. And here she's just learned that her husband has been cheating on her, instead of just asking for a divorce, but she's still going to be a good wife, a good caretaker, because she took her vows seriously, and she's gonna take care of him as best she can. And I related to Juliet too, because trying to be everything to everyone, especially when you're a mom and you have a career and you want to stay married, and you want to give back to the community. It's a lot. Those panic attacks in the closet, I haven't exactly had those, but I have definitely fantasized about moving to Montana and working for the Park Service.
Well, Kirkus gave it a starred review, and they said a masterful exploration of all kinds of love, romance, family, and friendship that will make even a cynic cry.
Yes, that was such a nice review.
Starred review, which is always great to get a starred review.
Yeah, and it's also
comes out June 9th.
Yes, June 9th. And it's
was the date changed because of the pandemic, or was that always the date?
No, it was always planned for the 9th. And I was so thrilled. It's also People Magazine's pick of the week.
Oh, congratulations.
I know. My second year in a row, I'm thrilled. And I think it's the kind of book where, especially in these times of civil unrest and sickness, pandemic, the chaos that we're experiencing, I know I want to read a book that is uplifting, that gives you the message of life is going to be hard and tiring and exhausting at times, difficult, but you're going to get through it. And not only will you get through it, you'll be better off for having gotten through it.
Well, I will definitely be recommending it.
Thank you.
I'm
excited
to read it because I only read the excerpt that's on your website.
Okay.
Which is Sadie proposing to her boyfriend.
Right.
On the High Line. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't fully relate to her because I wouldn't say that I float around and do that, but you say how she's her father's, like, each parent has their favorite. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me and my sister and my parents. I'm my dad's favorite. Like, I was like, I love this. And I just, reading about her, I was like, oh my God, I need to know more about like her family and her life. And just, this is so interesting. Cause I loved the other book that we interviewed you for. And I'm going through like your backlist of everything, but I'm just like, oh, this is great. And I saw on your blog that you were writing about like reading about uplifting stuff, and you named a few other authors, which is great because everyone's always looking for recommendations. But this just seems like a book to just like go into it, feel good. There might be some like angsty moments or like the feels, but it's not gonna make you feel horrible about the world,
right
with what's going on.
I don't think I've ever written a book that would make you feel horrible about the world. I mean, the point is for me to write a book where people emerge better, braver, bigger hearted, and that they've dealt with the demons in their past or the situation that was presented with them, and they didn't just do okay, they did great, and they're in a much better place at the end.
Where did you get the idea for this book? I mean, always the last to know. It's definitely a phrase that comes up when these things happen.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people in my friend circle getting divorced. Our kids are going off to college, and it seems like a time when couples separate. And several of my friends, unfortunately, did have cheating husbands, and I don't know of any cheating wives, so I don't want to be sexist, but in this, in my circle, it was the husbands. And I was fascinated with the idea of your marriage has gotten to a point where the husband feels it's okay to cheat, or he was just a really low moral person all along. But how does that, when you look at a long marriage, like how does that happen? How do you get to that point where once you were in love, Barb and John, Always the Last to Know, were in love and happy in the beginning of their marriage? How do they get to that point where they barely speak to each other and they're both fine with that? And so I did want to write a book about marriage and infidelity and what it takes to make a happy marriage. And when love isn't enough, like with Sadie and Noah, they really love each other. That's never in question, but they want such different things when they're young. How do you reconcile that? Who gives up what? Where does the compromise happen? So in a way, it's a book about everyone's family, everyone's relationship, things that we will all encounter in our lives as, people in this world, whether you're married or divorced or in a long-term relationship or not in a long-term relationship.
This one was the second one in the Stoningham novels. There's going to be a third?
Not at the moment. Next
Okay.
summer's book will be set in Providence, Rhode Island, just up the
very
street,
nice.
just up 95 from
Right.
Stoningham. And
Is Stoningham a real place?
it's a very close parallel to Stonington, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
It's the last town in Connecticut before you hit Rhode Island. And it's just as lovely as it is in the book. But I do love writing small towns. I mean, that's where I'm from, where I live. And I think there's like a really nice element of the character as the setting as a character, the town as a character,
Very nice.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it very much.
you.
I can't wait to read your others.
Thanks so much, guys. It's lovely
Thank
talking
you so
to you
much
again.
for coming back.
All right.
We are closing this chapter of Turn the Page, Syosset Public Libraries podcast. I am Stacy, Reader Services Librarian, joined by
Evelyn, Reader Services Librarian.
And Jessica, Community Engagement Librarian, Specialist, all those things.
all the above and more. We are so happy to have talked to you about your latest book, Kristan. Always the last to know. It is coming out June 9th. We are recording this the day before the book comes out. It's June 8th today. I was like, I have to remind, yes, double checking.
And come back next year.
I sure
Yes.
will. Thank you so much, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.